Hi, this is play-by-play announcer Paul Roper, Seton Hall class of 2008, and you're listening to Hockey at the Hall, WSU's only show dedicated to covering the National Hockey League.
And this is your host, Anthony DiPaolo.
Mike Bellotti.
And I'm Sean Clancy. And as Mr. Roper said, this is the Hockey at the Hall podcast. So listen up, people. Buy a couple Q-tips, clean out an ear, because you don't want to miss what we got for you today. Anthony, what do we got for him today?
Well, it is still the playoffs, and it has been an exciting week of playoff hockey. That's going to be our main story, really. And we're going to talk about some more trophies, and we got your favorite section, Sean. We got Clancy's Crease.
Yes.
So it's going to be a fun show today. We're going to start off with some playoff series, and we're going to start out local. So we're going to start off with the New York Rangers and the Washington Capitals. The New York Rangers, last night, as of this recording, has evened up the series. Mike, what are your thoughts from that game?
I mean, the last couple games have been all, like the whole series has been well played. They really had just that one real bad period, the second period of the first game, that they gave up a couple easy goals that really shouldn't have gone in. And it kind of set the stage for the first couple games. Then they came back home Monday and last night, and they proved why they have such a great record at home this year, that they're like 16-4 at home.
And Mike, how big were the deaf players at Madison Square Garden? You have guys like Aaron Ashram scoring, you had Brassard coming up big, you had Carl Hagelin, just all these unexpected players, even Brian Boyle just really stepping it up.
The deaf players, is that what you said? Who's deaf on the team?
Depth, however you pronounce
Depth.
it.
Oh, depth.
Yes.
I mean, they've been key for the whole year. That's what makes a winning team. Yes, a team can have one or two real good lines, but if you don't have four lines that can compete, then it doesn't matter. And that was the Rangers' problem at the beginning of the season. They were very, very top heavy. They didn't have a lot of forward depth going down. They lost a lot during the offseason. But then with the trades that they swung during the trade deadline week, they managed to shore up some of the holes that they had. They got Dorsett, Brassard. They shored up their defense a little bit with John Moore. They were able to get rid of Gabrick's hefty contract. So they built themselves up not only to contend for this season, but to contend for the future.
Yeah, and the depth has been a big factor for both of these teams in this series, because I know going into last night they showed something where Ovechkin only has one goal in the series and Rick Nash didn't have any goals in the series going into last night. So depth has been big for both teams.
Yeah, well, the Rangers, they had Ovechkin scored the first goal, the Capitals' first goal of that first game on the power play, and then they've buckled down. They've shut him down since.
And not that
he hasn't really gotten much.
Not that it's been a very high-scoring series anyway. I was watching Game 2, the one in Washington that was 0-0, went to overtime, final score 1-0. So far the series is tied 2-2, and all the wins have been on home ice.
Yeah,
correct?
So the Rangers, they kind of, it's hard to really grab momentum right now because it's only been who's winning at home, and it's been close games every game. So it's hard to see who has the momentum at the moment. But whoever can, if one of the teams jumps out to an early lead in this next game, that could really define how this is going to go.
And I love that when you get a lot of home wins, when it seems like every team is winning home games. You love to see the fans paying all that money for a playoff game. You like to see the team get a win. It was like the 2003 Devils series, Devils versus Ducks when they won the Stanley Cup. Went to 7 games. A good thing the Devils had home ice, because every single game in that series the home team won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens a lot. It's one of the sports where home advantage really does play a factor.
Yeah, hockey fans are crazy.
Now,
you see the Toronto game? We'll get to Toronto. Keep going, Anthony.
Okay, now sticking with the Rangers for a little bit longer. What do you think? Do you think there's anything that the Rangers really need to adjust, Mike?
If
they want to buckle down and win at Washington.
I mean, they definitely need to take let me try that again. They need to take fewer penalties. They're getting called for stupid things. I mean, yes, the reffing has been, and not only the Rangers series, but in all the playoff series so far, the reffing hasn't exactly been the greatest. There's been a lot of easy calls that have been mistaken. But the Rangers, they have to not let that be. They have to not give the referees that opportunity to make that mistake.
And speaking of the refs real quick, because I get on the refs all the time, I have to say, now obviously there's always bad calls. There's been some bad calls that you see. But overall, the quality of the reffing in the playoffs this year, I think, has been, I don't want to say much better, but it's been better than last year. Last year, the reffing in the playoffs was the worst display of officiating I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of that bled over into this regular season. But as the seasons progress, I think it's gotten better. So happy about that. As for a key with the Rangers, what they have to do, I think going into Washington, what they have to do is they have to play their game, and they have to take it to the Capitals early. Because what you have to do, we mentioned home ice, you have to take the fans out of the game early.
Well, the Rangers, they got to score first, but they have to score more than one
goal. They have
goal.
to score quick, too.
If they score, one goal, and 5 minutes later, the Capitals are going to score a goal. It's going to happen.
Because those Capitals fans are crazy. You got to get them out of the
you
equation.
can't, you can't count on it being a one-goal game the whole game, because the Capitals, they will keep scoring. That's who they are.
One thing I'll bring in real quick, this is what I think the Rangers need to work on. I think they need to do a better job of putting more pressure on the points, because if you look at the past couple of games, including their wins at the Garden, their defensemen had a lot of time on the blue line, as if they're on the power play.
These are the Capitals defensemen you're referring to, right?
But when you have a guy like Mike Green up on the point, who's
got
really
a
good
laser shot.
He's a stud.
You cannot give him any time up at the point whatsoever. So I think the Rangers have to pressure the points a little more. But other than that, I think they've been playing phenomenal hockey at the Garden. If they can carry that over to Washington, like you guys said, and take the crowd out of it quick, then they can get one at the Verizon Center.
Yeah, well, speaking of Mike Green, I read something the other day that someone posted on either Facebook or NHL.com or something that said that that they're starting to get more afraid of when Mike Green has the puck than when Ovechkin has the puck. And for good reason. He's been proving why he's such a key player on their team, not only defensively but offensively as well.
That's another thing going into Game 4. Mike Green was the only player going into Game 4 that had more than one goal in the series. They said something about that. So Mike Green's been a beast. If you look up the word,
there's only two players in the series that have more than one goal: Mike Green and Carl Hagelin.
You look up the word green in the dictionary, and right next to it, after all the definitions about the color, at the bottom, it says "see stud." See the word stud.
Okay,
Mike Green's a stud.
All right, so we're just going to refer to our predictions really quick. I had the Rangers in 7, and it surely looks like it's going that way. Mike, can you recall your prediction?
I had the Rangers in 6, but it's at this point it's anyone's game, because it's been just such a close series, such a hard fought series, that it can really swing either way. As much as I hate to say that.
Sean, what did you say?
I picked the Rangers. I don't know how many games I picked. I can't remember all the games that I picked. Because when you pick the amount of games, it's pretty much like flipping a coin, a four-sided coin, I suppose. So I know I have the Rangers winning though, and I hate rooting for the Rangers. I don't root for the Rangers. I root for myself to be right, But I've been rooting for the Capitals. Every time I watch, I get excited when the Capitals score. But if the Rangers do finish the comeback in this series and they win the series, I can't say I'll be terribly, terribly disappointed.
I actually want to see a rematch of 1979 with the Rangers and Islanders, and I think that's a perfect transition to talk about the Islanders and the Penguins. And just like the New York Rangers, the Islanders recently were able to tie up the series at 2. Guys, everybody was saying Penguins in 4. Or I had some Penguin fans saying Penguins in 3, but I had the Islanders in 7, and they have a chance to get ahead as of this recording tonight. They all call me crazy.
That's another thing. I picked the Penguins, but it's like the Rangers. I hate the Rangers. I hate the Penguins. I'm secretly rooting for the Islanders. And if the Islanders can really pull this series off, that's going to be because the two of you both picked the Islanders to win the first round. So if the Islanders can win, that'll be 2 out of the 3 analysts here at Hockey at the Hall that picked the Islanders, and 0 out of the 17 on NHL.com that picked the Islanders. So
so I might be, better than E.J. Radick at predicting things.
It's possible. I mean, more than half of them had the Canucks going on also, and they got swept. So
who do you feel has been the key right now for the Islanders' success?
For the Islanders,
Fleury.
Yeah, I could see that. For those of you that don't get the joke, that is the Penguins goaltender.
You want to hear a joke? You want to hear another joke?
Okay.
What time is it?
I don't know. It's 7:16.
Nope. 6 past Flurry. Because he gave up 6 goals. You people.
That's a good one. Okay.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
That's a knee
You're all
slapper.
gonna. Yeah. Oh, it's a knee slapper. Really though, Flurry, the past game, Flurry was not good at all.
Yeah, he was letting in some like just like you can't even say it was bad bounces. No, they went off of him. Multiple went off of him into the net.
There was the one that was deflected. A couple of them they were good goals, but especially the last one when it was 5-4. When it was 5-4 and
puck sliding down a stick and off his finger.
No,
Come on.
Who was it?
Who was his stick? It was Casey Cizikas. He came down the right wing. It did not hit his stick. Fleury did not have his stick down on the ice. I think that's why he gave up the goal because Sean, you know this how they have the glove on the blocker.
Right.
He had his hand clenched in a fist because he's holding the stick. It hit off his hand and it went in. His stick was not on the ice. It went under his stick. It hit his hand under his blocker and it went in.
Yeah, because I don't know what he was going for here because he had the stick down, but I guess like you said, it was still a little bit off the ice. Like he's going for a poke check, but he's like moving backwards. He was inside the net. He was like hanging on to the post, falling down, trying to do this half-ass poke check that I've never seen in my life.
He's going for the poke check. Cizikas was like 10, 15 feet away from him. How's he going for a poke check?
And Cizikas, I guess, lost it off his stick or just kind of half shoveled it in,
yeah,
and it just slid, like you said, went off the blocker into the far post because Fleury was already in the net anyway, so his legs aren't going to stop anything. So Fleury, you got to get Fleury out, and I wouldn't have even started Fleury for Game 4. I would have went with Vokoun right for Game 4.
I don't know. I feel like though you got to give the Islanders a little bit more credit because you'll get Nabokov. He hasn't played his best series either. I feel like he could have been playing much better, but so really it hasn't been a good goaltenders duel. So I think a lot of credit does go to the Islanders skaters like Kyle Oposo. He had a great second half to the season, and now he's tearing it up here in the playoffs.
Yeah, but even watching Fleury play, like it doesn't matter how many goals he gave up. Just watching him, I was watching part of that Islander game, and the way he was playing, you could tell he just wasn't his normal confident self. So regardless of whether or not the goals were his fault or if the Islanders are playing well, Fleury's not confident right now. So I think going with Vokoun is definitely the right move.
Okay, and guys, we're just gonna say real quick, by the time this thing gets released, chances are the Islander game might be over. So let's just play 2 quick scenarios.
Well, that's not a good scenario. That's not a good thing to say. You have to be faster with the whole editing and everything.
But
I'm receiving multiple complaints, Anthony, that people.
All right. Well, we'll address that later. But
okay.
let's say the Islanders lose tonight. What are they gonna have to do to have a chance of maybe coming out of this series?
Not lose that next game.
They're just gonna have to find ways to keep scoring goals because that's what's been keeping them going. Is their offense.
They've been actually they've managed to outscore probably the most offensively talented team in the entire league.
Because definitely the most offensively talented team in the entire league.
But the thing that always gets I'm sorry for interrupting you. The thing that always gets the Penguins is that one, they were never really that sound defensively.
Yeah.
They have Chris Letang, who's more of an offensive defenseman. They got Doug Murray, he was okay. He helps. And they have Paul Martin. That's really their defense. And
the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to score goals no matter what.
Yeah,
the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to score goals.
They have so many offensive weapons. They're going to score. You got to find a way to outscore them.
This series is basically about the Islanders being able to keep up and outmatch the goal scoring of the Pittsburgh Penguins, which thus far they've been able to do.
Yeah,
so if they can keep it up for another couple games, they can win the series.
It's like Anthony mentioned last week before the playoffs started, that with the series last year between the Penguins and the Flyers, it was basically a contest to see who could play the worst defense. Yeah. That's almost what it's getting to at this point. That they have to just outscore each other. So who can get to the 5 goals faster.
And then if the Islanders can win tonight, do you think they'd be able to close it out at Nassau?
I mean, it's going to be tough only because if the Islanders win tonight, the Penguins, they're going to know, they were here last year in this exact scenario. So they would definitely have that sense of urgency to not, that they know like it's literally a must-win situation.
And I guess going on to like the keys of this game, I feel like if the Islanders do want to win tonight, they're going to have to really get at Thomas Vokoun early and and try to prevent any confidence that he may build.
Yeah, because Thomas Vokoun, people forget, he had all those really solid seasons in Florida.
Yeah, well, that's
he led the league in save percentage at least a couple times, I think.
Yeah, well, that was always his big problem. Is that he was always a real good goaltender. He was stuck in Florida. He couldn't get out of there.
So if you let Vokoun get settled into a groove early, it's going to get hard to get pucks by him. So Islanders got to keep peppering shots at him.
Okay, and now we're just going to move over to one of the other Eastern Conference series. Sean has been paying quite a bit of attention to this one, and it's the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. The Senators are currently leading the Canadiens 3-1.
Okay. This series got interesting in Game 2 with the Eric Greiba hit, right? Greiba hit, who'd he hit? Lars Eller.
Yes.
It was a suicide pass Lars Eller was getting, so he didn't see the guy coming, and pretty much it was a shot. It was a hit. It was a north-south hit, but Eller had his head turned, so he didn't see it coming. He took the brunt of the hit, definitely, because he went falling straight down to the ice, and his face smacked the ice, and there was blood all over the ice. So he had to leave, and Greiba, the guy that hit him, got suspended by the league, of course, because there was blood, I guess. But if you ask me, it was a completely clean hit. It was the player's fault. The guy that was making the stupid pass that he shouldn't have made, and it was Eller's fault for not being aware of his surroundings when he was receiving the pass, and he got hit. It wasn't a hit to the head. He barely left his feet. So
yeah, he personally it wasn't. His injury wasn't because he got hit in the face. His injury was because his face smashed into the ice when he went down. That's not.
What that really reminded me of when I saw the replay. That reminded me a lot of the 2006 playoffs, Sabres versus Flyers, when R.J. Umberger, when he was still on the Flyers, got that pass, and Brian Campbell just leveled him at the blue line. Almost the same exact location, too.
Did he get suspended for it?
Brian Campbell, I do not believe so.
Yeah,
that was actually known in Buffalo as the hit.
Yeah, well, see, that's what happens in hockey nowadays. Now you get suspended for a hit if you hurt the other guy, which is unfair. And we've seen in the playoffs, there's been a number of other hits in the playoffs that have been elbows to the head, that have been dirtier hits, that haven't been suspendable offenses. But this one is, I guess, because there was blood all over the ice. So, things started getting more interesting after that game. Game 3 in Ottawa. There was 232 penalty minutes in that game. There was a brawl where all 5 guys on each team on the ice had dropped the gloves and they paired off. And by the end of the game, what do you got to say, Mike?
The Eric Greiba hit on Lars Eller, that was Game 1, not Game 2.
That was Game 1?
Yeah, so the series just started off with a bang. I wasn't entirely sure. I was just looking
I thought that. All right.
I personally, I thought it was Game 2 also. I didn't realize it was that early.
Where are you reading that on? NHL.com?
Yeah.
There's a good chance it could be a typo then. So the Game 3, it probably was Game 1. So Game 3 now, the big brawls, and by the end of the game, if you're watching the game, by the end of the game with all the people in the penalty box and that had gotten thrown out, you look at the benches.
Yeah.
And there was times where there was only 4, 5, 6 players on each bench. It was weird to see, and we haven't seen a big brawl like this in a while.
It basically looked like if people just went to go play like open hockey, like what the benches look like, just 5 or 6 on each bench. Like everyone just kind of hanging around. Like that was what it looked like.
And this was my favorite part of the game now. Now Ottawa dominated this game. Montreal let their emotions get the better of them, I guess. Ottawa jumped off to a 6-1 lead in the third period. Late in the game, and this is after everybody's pissed off at each other, right? There's only half the teams remaining. Montreal takes another penalty with like 17 seconds left. So there's a whistle. There's, the dying seconds of the game. There's a whistle. They got to, do what they got to do. The fans are on their feet cheering. Ottawa's won the game. So what does Coach
Paul
McLean do? He takes a timeout. Man takes a timeout. It was hilarious. All the players on Montreal are standing on the ice screaming at him. The coach is trying to look at him like, are you kidding me? And McLean's sitting there drawing up his power play and everything. Oh, it was great. So, and what was Montreal's response as soon as they got back out on the ice? I think it was Josh Georges, I think, got the puck and took a slap shot right at a Montreal player right before the horn. Oh, that game was something else. So, of course, I'm thinking I got to watch Game 4. Game 4 is going to be crazy. The whole teams are going to get thrown out. Nothing happened. The NHL must have talked to these guys because
it was pretty much a snooze fest. The game.
Not even after the whistles.
Compared to the last game.
Not a single, even after the whistles, no scrums, no nothing. The NHL must have talked to these guys or something. But it's still a great series to watch. Minus the fights, whatever. It's still great hockey being played. It's Ottawa's up in the series now, 3-1.
And also, as of right now, that game is actually in progress. With about 9:45 left in the first, Ottawa's currently up 1-0.
I'm kidding. As soon as I was watching the first game between Ottawa and Montreal, I knew I should have picked Ottawa. The way Ottawa was playing, I'm kicking. This is the only, and believe me, I'm not doing good with a lot of my predictions, but the Ottawa-Montreal one is definitely the one that I'm kicking myself about the most.
Okay, well, we're going to go over the rest of the playoff series really briefly, and I guess we're just going to say who do you think will win and why. So we're going to look at the Chicago Blackhawks. Right now, they're leading the Minnesota Wild 3-1. It looks like Chicago has this one all wrapped up.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Chicago on this one. They've just in pretty much every area they've just been outplaying the Wild. They've been better offensively, defensively. Their goaltending's been much better. They've just been in every facet of the game. They've just been better. To be fair though, the Minnesota goaltending situation has been a little shaky because Backstrom got hurt right before.
Josh Harding got injured too.
He hurt his leg a bit, but he's playing on the injured leg. He's still going. Like, he's not gonna just sit out.
Yeah, but that might not be a good thing either. They're going. I know.
Who do they have left to play?
Krumper, whatever his name is. I know he played a little bit, but if he's gonna become the one that has to play the games for Minnesota, he barely has any NHL regular season experience, let alone playoff experience. So Minnesota's already in trouble. Down 3-1 to the Hawks. I don't think the Hawks are going to have too much of a problem closing this series out.
Looks like my prediction, Chicago in 5, might actually be right.
You genius. You're a genius, Anthony.
Okay.
I think I might have had Chicago in 5 also.
So, anyway, we're going to go over to Anaheim,
so did I.
Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was when we all had the exact same thing.
Wow, cool.
Okay, so Anaheim and Detroit, we got the Ducks leading the Red Wings 3-2. Do you think the Ducks will be able to close out their series?
I hope not. There's another one that my team is losing. I picked Detroit. It was a heartbreaking overtime game last night. Anaheim won the game in overtime. I stayed up. There was 3 overtime games last night, and all 3 of my teams lost. So I stayed up until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning for nothing. But I think Anaheim has Detroit on their heels now. And I think Anaheim is going to be able to close out the series. Unfortunately, there goes another one of my picks down the drain.
Yeah, I think Anaheim's going to hold on to this one. They've been just like with, well, actually, not really. I can't even say the same thing that I said for Chicago because it's been very even series. They've just been getting, they've been getting really the breaks that they need over Detroit.
Yeah.
They've been really closely contested games throughout the whole series.
It did surprise me how good of a matchup this series really is. How close and similar the two teams really are. So
it's literally been back and forth the whole series. It went Anaheim won, Detroit won, Anaheim won, Detroit won, and then Anaheim won the last game to make it 3-2. It's literally been back and forth the whole series.
That's a great series.
Okay, now we're going to go over to the LA Kings and the St. Louis Blues. Right now, the Kings are leading the Blues after going down 0-2. The Kings won 3 straight. Now they're up 3-2. What do you think of this one?
I think that's absolutely terrific. That's another one of my teams that's losing. Wait, who'd you say is winning? LA's winning, right?
LA's
up 3-2.
That's great. St. Louis. Wait, are you talking about in a game right now or the series?
No, the series.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. When are they playing? Are they playing tonight or
tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. Because they were one of the overtime games last night where my teams lost. That was a game, and there's been a lot of in this series, a lot of goals scored in the last minute of the game. I think Los Angeles scored one to tie the game up or something. St. Louis, it was game 2. St. Louis scored in the last minute the game winner. And then they scored again last game in the last minute to tie it up and send it to overtime. But, of course, Los Angeles got the win. So now St. Louis, they're the team I picked to win the Stanley Cup. So if they lose their series, my whole bracket's going to be screwed.
Okay, and we're going to finish off with the Western Conference with the San Jose Sharks. And they beat the Vancouver Canucks with a 4-game sweep. What do you guys think of that? That kind of ruined my bracket a little bit because I had the Canucks advancing, so that there goes
that whole thing.
I think the Vancouver Canucks were distracted by the San Jose Sharks' ugly, ugly jerseys. Have you seen these? When did they start wearing these all-black jerseys? What happened to the blue jerseys with the nice orangish, whatever color that is, trim? Like those teal blue jerseys, they were beautiful. They were beautiful. What is this black jerseys that they're wearing now? The jerseys are black. The helmets are black. The gloves are black. The shorts are black. The socks are black. What are they going? They're going to Vancouver's funeral. Is that it?
Well, I mean,
They're
I'll
hideous.
tell you one thing.
I'm not really sure. Actually,
Is this their primary jersey now, or am I gonna have to look at this next season?
No,
because if it's a secondary
the
jersey,
the blue jersey is the primary home jersey.
because I'm pretty sure
the
they wore.
black jerseys are the alternate jerseys.
Because I'm pretty sure they wore the black jerseys for both home games. Maybe it's their playoff. And now since they swept the guys, you know they're gonna wear them for the rest of the playoffs as a superstition.
Hockey players
that'll
tend to
happen.
be that way.
I hope they get knocked out of the next round if they still wear those jerseys, because I don't want to look at them.
Well, I did have the Sharks beating the Vancouver Canucks, but I had that, I think it's a 6 or 7 game series. And, I mean, even I didn't expect San Jose to just sweep them. But I guess if you look at their goalie situation with Luongo and Schneider, neither of them could really deliver. You got Brent Burns moving up in San Jose from defense to offense. That really paid dividends. You got Jumbo Joe Thornton dishing out assists like it's no big deal. Joe Pavelski getting some big goals. Logan Couture.
Yeah,
Logan Couture is another
Logan
stud.
Couture.
He's the next Ryan Callahan. I don't care if he plays a different position or what he does.
well the
Way he blocks shots, clutch goals. He's great.
Well, the entire San Jose Sharks team has been putting up a lot of points. You got Pavelski and Couture both have 8 points. Thornton's got 6. Marlowe's got 5. Like everyone on their team has been putting up points. Everyone's been contributing.
If I was a Sharks fan, I wouldn't even go to the games as long as they're wearing those black jerseys. I'm still going. Listen, if you're an NHL team and that's the nicest uniform you can come up with, I don't want to do business with you.
Okay, and now we're going to go over to our last playoff series. Going back to the Eastern Conference, and we got the Boston Bruins, who are currently leading the Toronto Maple Leafs by a series of 3-1.
And guess what? I picked the Toronto Maple Leafs. And guess what? That's another overtime game last night that the Toronto Maple Leafs lost.
David Krejci picking up the hat trick.
Yes, yes.
David Krejci's got 10 points right now in the playoffs. 10 points.
He's a monster.
Certainly one of those players that just step it up in the playoffs.
This one, what I really feel bad for here, though, is the Toronto Maple Leafs fans. Because Boston 3-1 now. Boston's going home. You got to think they're probably going to close out the series at home. And the Toronto Maple Leafs fans this season only got to see 2 home playoff games, and they haven't been in the playoffs since 2004, and these fans are wild. I don't know if you were watching Game 4, but they were showing shots outside the arena. And you know when you watch the Stanley Cup Finals, you see outside the arena there's a whole bunch of people. This is the first round, and the Toronto Maple Leafs fans are surrounding the arena for blocks. There's thousands of them. They're at it. These guys are nuts. I love it. I'm gonna move to Canada when I grow up.
There was one thing though that I was not happy about. That there was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I don't remember which game it was. He was in the stands in his Maple Leafs jersey, wearing, holding up a sign that says "Toronto Strong," like mocking the Boston Strong things after the explosions at the marathon.
What's wrong with that? That's fair game. That's just fans getting under each other's skin.
Yeah, but like, not with something like that. You know, if it's a stupid injury, something stupid a player does, like that's one thing. But not something like that. That's a tragedy. You got kids getting killed. Like you don't mock something like that.
He's
Like,
not mocking. He's just.
There's got to be a line.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to side with Sean. I mean, I can understand where you're going from though, Mike, that it is kind of mocking them, but I feel like it's not as bad as if if there are ever like Toronto fans that said like, oh, well, Boston deserved it.
I know
that would be.
I know that wasn't.
Bad,
No, I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the guy's intention, but you can't be doing things like that just because of who it might offend.
Oh, don't worry about who might offend. Every single joke ever written in the world offends somebody. That's the point of being funny, because it offends somebody.
Believe me, I'm the least politically correct person you'll ever meet. But, when something like that, at least not right away. It's been like 2 weeks since it happened.
Yeah, well, the Toronto Maple Leafs aren't going to be in the playoffs for much longer, so you got to get it in now. I don't think it was that big of a deal, because I saw it too. I read the article on Yahoo.com, which, by the way, Yahoo.com is great. All the quirky articles they write. But I don't think it was that big a deal. It's just getting under the other guy's skin, and he's doing it at his own risk. Like, if there's Boston fans around, he could get punched in the face. But the thing is, like I said, there's thousands of Toronto Maple Leafs fans out on the streets, too. So, it's just, I thought it was fair. If he held up a sign that says "Death to America," then that'd be a little bit over the line. You know, there'd probably be like cops there.
And that's like what I said.
Arresting him.
If there are any fans saying like, Boston deserved it, that would be over the line too. But
that's like edging on like Westboro Baptist Church.
All right, let's not get into them
Okay,
because I could just go for days on them. I hate them.
Do you guys think that Boston will be able to close this out no problem, or do you think Toronto might be able to fight back?
I think Boston's gonna win the game at home, but I'm rooting for them not to because I want to see the Toronto Maple Leafs fans get at least one more game.
If anything, Nazem Kadri has to step up. I think if the Leafs want to get back in this, that's going to be my player to watch out for to really come up big time.
And they've been shown in this series too. At least the last game, Game 4, shots of James Reimer's mom in the stands. I don't know if you remember last season.
Giving that look to Dion Phaneuf's wife. That really disappointed look.
What?
What are you talking about?
No, never mind. As you were saying, Sean.
Yeah, never mind. Move on.
What about Dion Phaneuf's wife?
No. You were talking about pictures of them because they had these really awkward looks at each other. And a lot of fans made a big deal about that, but I guess we're on two different pages here.
Yeah, clearly.
How does James Reimer's mom know who Dion Phaneuf? You know what? I don't care.
I
don't know.
Okay, I know what you're referring to because there was an actress there that was Elijah Cuthbert is Dion Phaneuf's wife. That they were sitting talking during the game. Reimer's mom and Phaneuf's wife were talking during the game and giving each other disappointed looks over what was happening on the ice. That's what he's referring to.
So there was no animosity between the two women. It was over the game. All right,
it's not like there was gonna be like a cat fight.
I don't want to hear your voice, Anthony. So I don't know if you remember.
You're officially in timeout.
I don't know if you remember the last playoff series with the Capitals and the Rangers when they kept showing Braden Holtby's mom and how nervous she was. Now they're showing Reimer's mom. And that's part of the reason I'm rooting for Toronto so much because imagine being the parent of an NHL goalie, especially James Reimer. He's so young. This is the first time he's ever been in the playoffs. Just imagine the nerves. And I mean, this woman looked like she was going to have a heart attack. And it was so heartbreaking. They showed her after Toronto lost. So very disappointing there.
All right, so...
You paused for a second there, Anthony. I thought you weren't going to say anything. Like I really didn't want to hear your voice.
No. I wanted to let you finish out your thing, but so I guess that wraps up the playoff pictures. I mean, I had Toronto in 6. Obviously, that's not going to happen now.
Nope.
They can still do it in 7, but it will be very hard. But that basically wraps up our coverage of the playoffs for now. And we're going to talk about some other things. And the LA Kings and the Anaheim Ducks officially have an outdoor game at Dodger Stadium. What are your thoughts on this one, guys?
I don't know why the NHL bothers announcing each of these games individually. Just to get hockey fans riled up more, I guess, more angry. Because we knew about this a couple months ago, all these outdoor games. Yeah, we complained about it then.
We actually had a discussion about it on this show.
We complained about the games
a lengthy
then.
Discussion about it.
We complained about them then, and then we put them out of our mind for the playoffs. But now the playoffs, and it's like one by one, they're saying, oh, we've officially announced this game, we've officially announced this game, and it just reminds fans how poor of a job the NHL is doing with all this. Because, believe me, I'm excited that there's going to be a Devil Ranger game at Yankee Stadium. But 6 outdoor games in one season, it's unnecessary. It waters it down.
I said this once.
How would you like to have 6 Super Bowls in one season?
I said this once, and I'll say it again. This could be the NHL's way of apologizing for having this year's Winter Classic kicked out and just because of the lockout in general. Now,
that's a crappy way to... You know how they should have apologized? Free Game Center. Free NHL Game Center. Did they lower the prices at all being at a shortened season, or did they keep the... You know what?
I'm not too sure.
I have no idea. I don't have Game Center.
Neither do I. I watch it on...
If the fans don't like it,
they'll
probably voice their dissatisfaction, and the NHL might...
here's
2004 or 2015, bring it back to the Winter Classic and maybe still the Heritage Classic.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It's a money thing, right? You know, they have the outdoor games because they make a whole bunch of money with these outdoor games. And like everybody knows, the NHL needs money. We sat through a lockout for half a year, hearing about that every day. But, you know, and everybody will say, just like the lockout, everybody will say, you know, it's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. We're not going to go to the games. Whatever, you know, people complain about it, but then what do? We go to the game anyway. All these games are going to be sold out. They're going to make a huge profit off all these games anyway. And Gary Bettman knows that. He even had that famous quote during the lockout that, He said something like, "We know no matter what, the fans will be back," or something. I don't know, some stupid thing that he said. So he knows. He knows that he could put an outdoor game. He could put 20 of them in a season, and they'd all be sold out in a second. So, I mean, good for him for being a businessman, but he's slowly ruining the league and all the great things about it.
Mike, any thoughts on it?
Nah, I mean, Sean pretty much hit the nail right on the head with that one. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, it's gonna be exciting at first, but it's just gonna get real old real quick.
And all you people, by the way, saying how are they gonna keep the ice frozen? The average temperature, number one, in January, in wherever they're doing it, California Dodger Stadium, the average temperature is only 65 degrees in the first place. The Winter Classic between I'm pretty sure it was Pittsburgh and Washington, the temperature was like almost 70 degrees there. And it's not like NHL arenas are less than 32 degrees in there. It's the same. It's like 6.
And one more thing, Sean, too. I think a lot of people are forgetting that in 1991, the LA Kings and the New York Rangers were able to play a game in the parking lot of Caesars Palace in 80-degree weather.
80 degree. I thought it was almost 90 degrees that day.
I think
how these people?
85.
You go into an NHL arena, it's like 60, 65 degrees in there, whatever it is. It's not freezing in there. Like, how do they think they keep the ice frozen? Not with the atmosphere.
No, because they have coolers and stuff under the ice to keep it hard. To keep it frozen.
They got technology.
Dan Craig, he's been manning the ice truck for the past couple of years in the Winter Classic. That guy is an ice guru.
Yeah, the ice truck, they got all
I have total faith in him in getting this game done at Dodger Stadium. The ice will be fine.
They got all kinds of technology.
It'll be fine. Just I'm curious how they're going to manage to go from, stadium to stadium, go, all around the country in about a week.
Well, I mean, I'm
with
sure
this truck. Like that's
another thing. Hopefully it doesn't deter the ice conditions. Hopefully they don't rush it too much. But they got the technology. That's so all you people wondering how they do it, it's 21st century technology. Look it up on your iPhones.
Okay, and before we go to Clancy's Crease, we're just gonna go through 3 more trophy nominations, or
4.
4 actually. Thank you. And guys, I'm just gonna list the finalists, and we'll try to keep it brief. I'll just name who's listed, and just tell me who do you guys think is gonna win, and a quick explanation why. So we're gonna start off with the Norris Trophy. We got Chris Letang of the Penguins, PK Subban of the Canadiens, and we got Ryan Suter of the Wild. Sean, who do you think will win?
I have no idea. They're probably going to give it to Chris Letang because he's on the Penguins. PK Subban only got the nomination because he gets a lot of points. Ryan Suter, though, out of the 3, is like the most rounded player, I think. He's the best defensive player. So I think Ryan Suter deserves it, but don't be surprised if he doesn't get it.
Yeah, I was going to say Ryan Suter also. He's been a really key component to the Wild being where they are this year. Without him, without them making that, without him getting that cornerstone defenseman to anchor their team, who knows where they would be right now.
Okay, and then we got the Vezina Trophy with best goalie Sergei Bobrovsky with the Blue Jackets, Henrik Lundqvist of the Rangers, and Antti Niemi of the San Jose Sharks.
Why is Henrik Lundqvist a Vezina nominee? Why is Henrik Lundqvist a Vezina nominee? Somebody explain. Why is Henrik Lundqvist a Vezina nominee? Why?
I don't know. I'm not on the board. I don't know.
Anthony, why is Henrik Lundqvist a Vezina nominee?
Let's see.
What's Gary Bettman's phone number?
I think a 924 save percentage. I think he has a 206 goals against average. I believe he has 24 wins, and he has 1 shutout of the season.
2.
You said two shutouts. You said a 924 save percentage, right? Mm-hmm. Tuukka Rask is a 927. What was the goals against average?
I believe either 206 or actually 204. One of those 2 numbers.
Tuukka Rask was a 2.0, I believe, right? What'd you say the shutouts were?
2.
2? Tuukka Rask had more than twice that. Tuukka Rask had 5. But Tuukka Rask didn't play as many games as Henrik Lundqvist. Henrik Lundqvist tied for the league lead in wins, but he also tied for the league lead in the most games played this season. Tuukka Rask had a better season than even Antti Niemi, if you ask me. I think the top 2 are Bobrovsky and Tuukka Rask. Now, out of the 2, I think Bobrovsky deserves it no matter what. But the fact that Henrik Lundqvist, and you can make an argument for even more goalies to be in front of Lundqvist. You can make the argument for Schneider. You can make the argument for Jimmy Howard. You can make the argument for these goalies that only played half a season if you want. It might not be the strongest of an argument, but you could still make the argument. Henrik Lundqvist was the 4th or 5th best goalie this season, at best, and he's a Vezina nominee.
Mike, any thoughts on that? Any response?
I feel like I'm not allowed to talk, because anything I say, Sean's just going to try to take my head off.
Okay.
He
so
deserved to
now-
be a nominee last year, but he won it last year. If Henrik Lundqvist wins the Vezina Trophy this year, because last year it was close. Last year I didn't think he deserved it. I think Quick deserved it, but they gave it to Lundqvist. Fair enough. The fact that he's a nominee this year is completely ridiculous. If he wins it over Bobrovsky, if he wins it over Antti Niemi, I'm going to be a very angry person. If you think I'm angry now, I'll be a very angry person. Tuukka Rask deserves to be a Vezina nominee.
Okay. And
Lundqvist had better numbers than Niemi, but the only reason I could see Bobrovsky getting it, the only reason I see him getting it over Bobrovsky would be that the Rangers are in the playoffs and the Blue Jackets are not.
Yeah, but
That's
the
the only
Blue
thing I
Jackets-
could see him having over Bobrovsky.
But the Blue Jackets were, what, a 9th place team this year? They would have been like a 13th or 14th place team this year if not for Sergei Bobrovsky. The Rangers, with or without Lundqvist, would have made the playoffs.
Okay. Now we're just gonna go over one more trophy, and that's gonna be the Calder. We got.
There's two more. You forgot Ted Lindsay.
The Ted Lindsay is just, I think, another
No, but
excuse.
Who
for the
cares
Hart
about
Trophy.
Ted?
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go over the Calder Trophy. We got Gallagher, we got Jonathan Huberdeau, and we got Brandon Saad.
This one I would give to Jonathan Huberdeau on the Florida Panthers.
Yep.
Because my main reason is that the rookie scoring race and all that was very close this season, and it's not like Huberdeau was ahead of the pack by any means. He was right in there with all of them, and there was like 5 or 6, 7 of these rookies that were all in the same boat. But Huberdeau, the reason I would give it to him is because you look at the team he played on, the Florida Panthers, and most of the other rookies were all on good teams. Brandon Saad on Chicago, all of them. But Huberdeau, I would give it to Huberdeau because he was on the Florida Panthers. And just imagine if Huberdeau was not on the Florida Panthers, if he was on a good team, then he probably would have had a significant lead in the scoring race. But he's stuck on a bad team, but he still managed to tie for the rookie lead in scoring. So I'd give it to Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, and for pretty much the same reasons. You look at someone like Brandon Gallagher, Brandon Saad, that it's gonna be, the numbers are gonna be a little bit inflated because of who they play for. You take someone like Huberdeau, his stats, those are his pure stats. Trust me, he wasn't getting a lot of help down there.
Exactly.
So it was pretty cut and dry with what his numbers were, which is why he's put up. He's got good numbers. He's got higher points than Gallagher and Saad. And his plus minus is a lot lower. He's a minus 15. He plays for Florida. He plays for for honestly the worst team in the entire league. So it's gonna happen.
Okay, and that wraps up our trophy talk. And as MSG has Bill Peto's MSG 150, we have at Hockey at the Hall Clancy's Crease with our favorite goalie Sean Clancy talking about anything about the National Hockey League. So Sean, take it away.
Okay, well, what I first want to talk about with Clancy's Crease, the goalies, is there's a couple of teams floating around the league that don't seem to know who their starting goalie is. First and foremost, the Vancouver Canucks. Why Corey Schneider started Games 3 and Games 4 if Roberto Luongo is completely healthy boggles my mind, because I thought Roberto Luongo played well, and I know they're really trying to push to get rid of Luongo and be good trade bait, and they want Schneider to be the future of the franchise. That's fair enough. But as for right now, Roberto Luongo is the starting goalie on the Vancouver Canucks. He's got the experience, and he's still, in my mind, a better goalie than Corey Schneider. Schneider's a great goalie, and he had a great season. But Roberto Luongo, all around, I think, is the better goalie, so he should have gotten the starts for Vancouver in the playoffs. I don't know why Schneider was in there, and I think that's a big part of the reason that they got swept. They lost those last 2 games. Another team would be the Anaheim Ducks. They're starting Hiller, and Hiller deserves to start in the playoffs. But I think in the near future, I think Victor Fast is going to get a lot of starts for Anaheim, too. So this is going to be a team where next season, at least, Victor Fast may be in a position to overtake the starting role, and if he plays well, I think he deserves it over Hiller next season. But look for that to turn into another goaltending controversy. Chicago doesn't seem to be a team that knows who their starting goalie is, so I'll tell them. Corey Crawford is your starting goalie in Chicago, but I know he was injured for a little bit of time. Ray Emery almost played as much games as him, but people are even talking about maybe Crawford and Ray Emery splitting the season. The postseason, the playoffs. But I think that's silly. Corey Crawford's your starter in Chicago, because if you took Crawford and you put him on a different team, I think he would do just as well. If you took Ray Emery and you put him on a different team, I don't think he'd be that good of a goalie. So keep starting Corey Crawford. Give him 60 starts next year at least. And and the St. Louis Blues. Now, I'm not sure does anybody know if Yaroslav Halak is injured, if that's the reason Elliott's been playing? Is Halak still hurt?
I'm looking. I'm not finding anything on it.
No, I think Halak is good to go.
Well, if Halak's not injured,
He hasn't played at all during the postseason.
I don't know why I don't know why he's playing. Yaroslav Halak is the starter on the St. Louis Blues too. Now I know Elliott had that great season last year, but he started off slow this year, and he's been good in the playoffs. But I think Halak would have been better. And my problem is this with Elliott: he seems unsure of himself at times. I don't think he's as confident as Yaroslav Halak is. And Yaroslav Halak is a much better clutch goalie, if you ask me, too. You look at the playoff run he had with
Chicago.
Who?
Chicago.
Who, Halak?
Oh no, that was
Montreal.
That was Niemi.
Montreal Canadiens a couple years ago, and he looked great.
That was Niemi. That was with Chicago.
Even when Ovechkin in the interviews tried to get under his skin, you remember that, saying that Halak was nervous. I saw his hand shake and whatever. Halak came back and he shut him down. But Yaroslav Halak should be the starter on the St. Louis Blues. I don't know why Elliott's playing. And this is the overtime goal. For everybody that stayed up and watched the game last night that the Kings won, it was a play. I think it was a 2-on-1. The guy was coming up on Elliott's right side. If you're looking from Elliott like a first person view, the guy was on the right and he passed it over to the guy on the left. Now Elliott pushed over butterfly style to make the save, but halfway through he lifted his left leg up, his leading leg, to go into this half butterfly kind of style, but his right leg was dragging too far behind, and he left a gaping hole in the 5-hole, which is right where the puck went. Now, you have three options in this situation when a guy comes from the right, passes it to the left. You can slide across butterfly style. You can slide across half butterfly style, which is with your leading leg up and your back leg, flat on the ice, without opening up the 5-hole. You leave that shut. Or your third option is you could stack the pads, but nobody does that these days. And I think because he had time and because he's a confident butterfly goalie, Elliott made the right choice and he came over in the butterfly style. But you can't go halfway through that and decide to change it up. He lifted the leg up for no reason, and the shot was on the ice and it went right through his 5-hole. So that's just an example. I think if you have Halak in the net, that's a save that Yaroslav Halak would definitely make. So that's all I got for you for Clancy's Crease today, Anthony.
And this has been quite a lengthy episode of Hockey at the Hall, so I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys. And be sure to tune in next week as we'll continue to cover the playoffs of the National Hockey League. This has been your host, Anthony DiPaolo.
Mike Bellotti.
Why is Henrik Lundqvist a Vezina nominee?
And that is Sean Clancy. So
why?
Tune in next week for our next episode of Hockey at the Hall.